Okay, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for one of the last games in the JDL3's Premier Divisions. This one coming over from the Asia Division, and it is Invasion Esports up against Myth Trust. Very quickly to go over the stats because I always think I'm going to have a little bit more time to talk, and I never do. Invasion have won 5 out of the 6 matches these two teams have played against each other. Myth actually ahead in the JDL tournament at the moment, but having played more games, that's unsurprising. They've got 8 wins, Invasion have 6. Invasion also have less losses though. Bit of analysis on that. Basically, Invasion winning this would be secured a place in the finals, whereas Myth would be securing their place in the finals because they're already headed to the finals in their 3rd position. So an important game for both teams. Looking at the bans and picks, it all looks very, very just traditional high tier. Basically, we've got Brewmaster, Void, Lycan, and Death Prophet banned. All of those feared for their massive team fight contributions. Death Prophet also as well from the annoying push. Pickups of Doom, Shadow Shaman, Razor, and Viper. Viper, I gotta say that's the hero I play most here. Viper and Doom. It's interesting. Doom is a very flexible hero, which makes him an absolutely amazing first pick. He can be jungled, he can be offlaned, he can even be maybe mid in the right situation. Personally, I love playing him as a safe lane carry, but I don't see that much in high tier games. Shadow Shaman's been probably one of the. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the most picked support in recent months, just because he's got massive disable, able to deal with a load of tricky split pushes, even lock down a hard melee position 1 for long enough to be killed. And the wards give him such amazing team fight and tower push. Viper, just such amazing early game. Skywrath Mage, huge magical nuker, and also his ultimate has an amazing combo with Shackle, which will be coming off the Shadow Shaman. So amazing setup for Myth. Obviously what they're missing is multiple target crowd control of stuns and some melee, some real tank. They've got a great aggressive tri-lane if they wanted to run it that way in Shadow Shaman, Viper, and Skywrath. But Viper would have to be leading it a lot. Skywrath and Shadow be a little bit tricky. Looking at the Invasion team, Razor, I'm wondering whether they were planning on putting that against Viper mid. But Viper's traditionally a mid, although he's been played an awful lot in side lanes recently. And Razor against Viper, I'm not sure what the stats are, in all honesty, but it is. I personally have 50-50 luck with it all the time. Sometimes with Viper, because a lot of Viper's damage is physical, and so it's reduced when Razor leashes him. But a lot of his damage is magical as well, and Razor can't steal that. It often comes down to the skill of the players in that matchup. But it looks like Myth picking up a puck are going to be going for the. I would expect the puck mid and the Viper and possibly an aggro try. Invasion Esports picking up their supports in the Shadow Shaman and Dazzle. Shadow Demon and Dazzle. Sorry, that's a huge amount of magic damage they can dish out very, very early in the game. But really, not an awful lot of crowd control coming out from Invasion. Disruption obviously is a great way to lock down one target, but you can't do damage to them while they're locked down. Banning out the. It seems to me like Invasion were expecting the Viper mid up until the puck call, which confuses me a little bit, just because Viper side lanes have been so big in the meta recently. I would expect Myth now are going to pick up a really, really strong solo safe laner, possibly a lone druid, something that can really, really scale, because they don't really have anything that can go super late here. Invasion, seeing that coming, banning out the Morphling. This is going to be an interesting game. I think Myth are just going for a and they go for a Drow. Wow, they are squishy, but obviously that extra damage that Drow gives to all allied ranged heroes is going to be huge on this team. Drow and Viper on the same team is always just a recipe for so much damage. But suddenly you've actually got decent damage coming out from Shadow Shaman, Skywrath Mage. Puck always does fairly decent damage, but generally more noted for his magic than his right clicks. But it does mean that they're very, very susceptible to quick initiations, and I think that Centaur Warrunner pick, it was what I was going to say I was expecting, and there it is. Centaur Warrunner for FZZ, and it's exactly what they need. He'll be having a blink, he can get right up to Drow's face to disable the extra agility she gets from her abilities. He's got the right kind of stomp, that adds an awful lot of disable. Doom, I would expect, is probably going to go for a Centaur stomp as well, at least for the early mid game. This is going to be interesting. But obviously all that damage that Drow is adding to the position ones like Viper and herself can be then stolen back by Razor. I can certainly see what Myth is doing here working. I've seen them run some crazy things before, and whenever they do something that's got some obvious flaws to it, it's because they've done it before 100 times, they've calculated it, and they're very confident that it can win. So I'm just quickly going to switch the camera on now that we're properly in game. There we go. Haven't got that quite set up right, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And introduce the teams. On the Myth side of things, we've got Lakels taking the Drow. We have got Chiar taking the Skywrath Mage. We have Mypro on the Viper. Do love Viper, so special attention to him. We've got Noki on the Shadow Shaman, and KYT on the Puck. Looking over at the Invasion team, we've got Ghost, actually hiding in the Roche pit on the Doom. He'll be taking the off lane, looks like. On the Shadow Demon, we have the stand-in OK, who's been doing an amazing job recently. With him supporting, we're going to have ADTR on the Dazzle. Mid, we're going to have, wow, I'm going to go for Kekikimba on the Razor. And then top lane, at this stage looking like a solo, is actually Centaur Warrunner. So I'm not 100% sure where these supports are going to be going from Invasion. Once whatever they're trying to set up on mid or guard against at mid is finished with. It could be an aggro try, it could be a defensive. Doom does great solo, does great in a tri lane. Because he does great with experience or gold and gold. You know, it's whatever you can get with Doom. Plus he's able to farm for himself with the bow. Great hero, one of my favourites. Skywrath Mage getting the perfect ruin there. If it had been anything else other than maybe a haste, he would have taken some damage. Probably would have ended up getting disrupted as well. Looks like the supports are heading up to top lane. At this stage, actually, Invasion completely abandoning their off lane. I'm not entirely sure what the lasting plan is with that. Meanwhile, we do have an Invis Skywrath setting up to gank Kekikimbla on the mid. Viper getting some right-click poison attacks in. I think he's missing quite a lot at this stage. Shadow Shaman also wandering down into lane. I'm not entirely sure what they're going for here. And then just safely backing up. Looks like Doom is taking the off lane. Was just looking for a nice devour to start things off with. Not a bad choice at all. Although it is going to have the effect of giving Drow some early levels. And Drow's one of those people you really don't want to give early levels. This Drow against the Doom is effectively as well going to be able to run pretty much a solo safe lane, which really isn't going to be great for Invasion. The one thing they need to do is make sure this Drow is kept locked down and cannot get her item progression up too high, because if she manages to get like Mask of Madness and then Blink, then that is going to be giving Myth exactly the kind of mobility that they need to win this game. She does also have supports staying out of sight, but still potent in the jungle, getting some nice pulls off now, although Myth appear to have messed up that pull quite badly. Only managed to pull one melee creep. That's quite an achievement. I'm not even sure how you pull a lane without getting a melee creep as well. Puck here up on the Radiant off lane, so it is actually the Viper mid. I was wrong during the draft. Just trying to scout out, see what pulls are going on. It's my expectation that Invasion are going to be stack pulling here rather than chain pulling. Just because if they chain pull, then Puck's going to be able to soak that experience up in the off lane. Doom now running into Puck all the way up near top rune. This is the off laners of both teams, really not contesting the safe laners of both teams. And Doom taking an awful lot of harass. Pop Scorched Earth to give him a little bit more speed and to get away. Viper, meanwhile, being dived a little bit by this Razor, who's picking up a lot of damage from him. But this is the kind of area where Viper's skills come into play. He's got a lot of raw damage coming out from Nether Toxin and poison coming out from poison attack. And he gets first blood just with that. And this is what I mean. If the Razor can steal enough damage before getting low, he can right-click Viper incredibly easily and pretty much ignore corrosive skin. But the converse is also true. Viper can do a hell of a lot of magic damage. It's very hard to keep high against him. And Nether Toxin will do its bonus damage. Regardless of what is stolen from Razor, because it is bonus damage applied after the damage is calculated, based on what the health the hero is at. Just very quickly gonna tab out and do a couple of quick little things. Gonna get a tweet out, gonna get a message up on the Steam group. And if anybody is tuning in, thank you very much for doing so. Got some big tournaments coming up, kind of end of September, beginning of October. some I want to say some of the biggest semi-pro stuff in Australia and India. So there's going to be some interesting teams coming out. If you want to tune into that, please do follow, please do subscribe, and also you can tell me whether my sub alert is working, because it should be. So back to this game. Drow roaring ahead on the last hits, 22 for 6. Centaur actually just behind on 18 for 3. Wait a minute. This is not looking great for Mith, I gotta say. Centaur is effectively the safe lane carry running up against the Drow, and while he's a great counter to Drow, assuming that the teams are playing as units of 5, he can't bring as much to the team fight as Drow can. And that sounds strange, because he's Centaur, he's great at team fight. But in the late game, Drow's damage is just going to be huge. She can easily get team wiped with just a little bit of lockdown or confusion to cover what she's doing. Oh, and a big gank coming on this Viper mid. I don't think they're going to get it, though. Massive rotation. The Invasion actually have just basically abandoned the offlane. Doom might be heading there now that he's 3 and he's got a stomp, but that was effectively a jungling Doom for the early game. And that jungle Doom and both supports coming down to gank this Viper, and it was just totally lost. Centaur now trying to get off some farm from this sidefall that the offlane puck is very nicely done for Mith. And he manages to pull the Radiant Wave back where he wants it, back where he can farm it. And the camp was actually completely killed in that as well, and he was splitting the XP with Puck, so that's actually a bit of a failure for Puck. Dazzle now with a DD rune, and Dazzle has some of the best early game damage for a support in the game, is my understanding. Meanwhile, I didn't even see that. Okay, coming around from behind, Puck manages to get the illusory orb out, and I don't think they're going to be able to get a kill there, but they are going to get a lot of damage on this tower, unless we can get a lot of rotations coming out from mid immediately. Puck just dropping a few right clicks down on the Centaur. The invasion team do manage to kill the wave. They've got another one just greeting it now. Puck's illusory orb only manages to damage 1 creep. That is really close. Razor now going on Viper hard. Wants revenge. Viper smells blood. It's so hard for either player to know whether or not they deserve this kill. Drow meanwhile taking bot. We're just going to have to see that from the minimap because the action is still going on up top. Clarity popped on Shadow Demon. He's ready to disrupt if there's any attempt at a defense. And they get another disruption down on Puck. He's going to have to retreat and is unable to contest. The tower goes down, no deny. But Drow meanwhile now 10 hits ahead of the Centaur, and this just I'm scared. I'm honestly very scared for Invasion here. And a quick pause comes out from Ghost. ADTR has to DC. I'm hoping they noticed that before anything significant happened. Dazzle certainly doesn't look like he's about to get horrifically murdered. So no huge kills coming out yet. Let's have a quick look at the XP per minute. Viper actually roaring ahead of this Razor. I suppose that must be, yeah, it's just that first blood did so much for him. He's now got his ult, but Razor hasn't leveled his. I'm not sure whether that's. It's tricky. It's really tricky because of course Razor ult is, you know, lots of damage to nearest enemies. But Viper, whenever he takes damage, is going to be doing damage back to Razor by corrosive skin, plus being able to resist the damage itself. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out late game, but for now, anyway, Viper's ult is going to be really useful in this lane. It's kind of where the lane definitely tilts in favor of Viper, to be honest. He's now got 2 ways to slow Razor down and deal more damage over time to him, and the thing that makes Viper such an effective hero is what makes him more effective is when people are slow and when people have already taken a bit of damage. And he is great at slowing people and harassing them, in addition to going for final kills. His skill, like, they really should be on 2 different heroes. It's the synchronicity between his skills is just amazing. But I'm a total Viper fanboy. So I'm anticipating hard times for Razor. I think the situation, although we weren't watching it too closely, the situation we're seeing here with Razor backing out is without a doubt due to the fact that Viper's ult was popped. That gives Razor, he just immediately has to try and retreat. But retreating is, in one sense, the worst thing he can do because he's going so slowly. Skyroth Mage now coming up to the mid as well, being careful not to show by going too far into the wave or down onto the low ground. You can actually set up ganks on mid much easier at night time. Bit of an attempt at a chain pull coming out from Mith, but again, I'm actually not a huge fan of the pulling that they're doing this game. It doesn't seem hugely effective. I'm wondering whether they're trying to do something really clever, because obviously they've got some nice stacking going on over here. but I can't see what it would be. You know, if you want to pull the wave, you can pull the wave. A double stacked hard camp will tear through an entire wave of creeps without taking too much damage, especially with a red satyr in it. Meanwhile, Drow and the Shadow Shaman going down on this Doom. I don't think the Frost Arrows are enough to slow when stacked up against Scorched Earth, but the attempt was made. The attempt was made. Drow would have really done well with that gold. Could well be heading for Midas, but there's a Centaur Stomp, double edge, and one right click, and that's a dead Drow. She just got almost enough, I think. She's going for the Midas to purchase the recipe, so that has got to really sting, and that is a key kill coming out for Invasion there. And that's what happens when Centaur gets Blink. We're now at the stage of the game where Centaur is going to be at his most effective countering Drow. He's still not going to be able to deal out equivalent damage. Oh, and Razor goes down to the Viper mid. Kind of saw that coming with the Skyrath rotation there as well. There was a very nice gang setup. But this is a point where basically all Centaur is about is just blinking close to the Drow, getting a stun, getting a nuke down. Later in the game, she'll have blink as well. She'll have very high movement speed. She'll have more levels in her push, and she'll be playing with her team. So it'll be much harder for him to do that. So this is the time for Invasion. They really need to be keeping the pressure up. Throwing away another kill at mid on their position 2 Razor is not what they needed to happen. Anticipation of a bot push. I'm not sure Invasion are right there. I think they should be focusing on getting this gank mid. I don't think Mith would have been quite that aggressive into a Blink Centaur. And they know that the Blink Centaur is around. Okay, she's an opportunity for disruption on Shadow Shaman. Doesn't know that the Drow is just around the corner. She gets a silence off, and now here come Frost Arrows. Dazzle was silenced, needs to get Shadow Grave off. Does get it off. Soaks up the Skyrath damage, now running back. Centaur ult is popped as well. Razor desperately trying to cut down the Shadow Shaman, manages to get it before he can get a deny. Meanwhile, Drow looking to cut them off. It needs to be careful as well. We do have Centaur coming in. He's got Blink. Blink! Stomp! Where's the double edge? Oh, he's silenced by Skyrath Mage. They're not able to drop the damage down, and now Shadow Demon caught out by the Viper. We've got an Illusory Orb coming up. He's juking through the trees. He's activated a Haste Rune, and that might be enough to get him out. He's going for a deny. He gets the Satyr. Oh, and Centaur being incredibly bold, going in for a kill here. That was a mistake. There's 4 of them. They do manage to cut out the Centaur on the way back. Razor now picks up another Skyrath Mage on the way, and actually with the Razor coming in, I was wrong. That was a great play from Centaur. Unnaturally averse to going for fights where you're outnumbered, and they were going in 3 on 4 there. But it can work. I stick by my guns that it's a pretty good general rule that you want to outnumber your opponents. But excellent play from him. They were low enough that the Stomp plus the double edge plus the Razor Plasma Field would get them in the position where they could be chasing and getting kills, and they did. So overall, though, Myth still in the lead by 1 kill. So that must have been 3 kills each. Let's have a quick look at the XP and gold graphs, see what's going here. So Myth actually with quite a significant lead before that last fight. You know, trading evenly when you're ahead is bad. You know, going 3 for 3 when you're already ahead in experience is bad, because it means that the enemy team are killing higher hero levels and you're killing lower level heroes. And it works out quite badly for you. So yeah, I'm actually going to switch this over to net worth now. We're getting enough interesting kills on enough interesting heroes to want to be looking at net gold, I think, rather than last hits. And we are seeing the Drow raging up ahead now, 2 for 1, almost 5,000 net worth. Got the Midas up, so that's only going to be increasing quicker now. I think that was definitely the right call for her. It's not something I'd necessarily want to go on Drow, but when the enemy have abandoned their off lane, then definitely go for it. You know, 100%. Why not? They're not coming to contest you. And yeah, sure, she got caught out a couple of times, and that was semi-unfortunate. They could have done something about it. Invis, okay, grabs a disruption down on Puck, but of course it's Puck, so he just Illusory Orbs out. Gets a nice Centaur Blink Stomp on the Skyrath Mage. Not quite finished off before the Centaur falls. Is finished in the end, and that's 1 kill each. Viper getting the kill for Myth. Standing okay getting the kill for Invasion. I'd say a fairly even trade there, possibly in favor of Myth, just because the Centaur was effectively the safe lane carry in this game. Weird as that is to say for me. Centaur too pro offlane as I look at it, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie. Drow finishing up her treads. I'm really curious. I'm pretty sure her next item is going to be Mask of Madness, but it's a little strange on Drow because she's so squishy. Mask of Madness is always a bit of a risk, and Mask of Madness with Blink worked really well. So it's a question of how aggressive do you feel you can be. I get the impression that Myth want to be aggressive. They know that they don't necessarily. They know that they're fragile, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. They know that Blink Stomps are going to be scary pretty much the entire time. So I would not be surprised if we see her going for the Mask of Madness before the Blink. But I could well be wrong. She has got enough gold for at least the Morbid Mask, so perhaps I'm wrong and she's just saving all the way up to Blink. Wouldn't be a bad choice either. Lots of wards coming up from Invasion on the mid lane. We've got Observers, Sense, Viper getting a fair bit of farm, and a big rotation as well. The entire team now smoked up except for Razor, who's just following them in easily. Razor is going to be spotted out by this Observer ward. Obviously the smoked members aren't. I'm not sure whether Myth are going to anticipate that this is just Razor, or anticipate that the whole team is actually there with him. And the call that they make here is going to be very, very important. If they think this is just Razor coming back with a haste rune, that's one thing. Weave goes down. So Invasion very able to fight here. Nice blink goes in on MyPro on the Viper. Lots of damage coming down. He does manage to get his ult off though. And the wards trapping Doom under the tier 1 tower. MyPro denied by Skyroth Mage. Beautiful play. And this is not what Invasion wanted from this gank. The response from Myth was just too fast. That was amazing play. I need to write that down. What are we on? 1250. I'm going to call that a 1230 play. Wow. That was huge. Loved that ward placement. It's the downside, I guess, of diving in quite so deep with your Blink Centaur. They did need to nuke down the Viper very quickly. Although even with the Blink they weren't able to be quick enough. But going into that kind of block off with a Shadow Shaman on the enemy team is just begging for that. Of course, it does mean that the wards are now dropped for the next 67 seconds. They're not going to be able to do the aggressive push that they really wanted to do and kind of really need to do. Well, then again, perhaps they are. It does look like Myth do want to be the ones making plays here. Going way beyond the creep wave there. I mean, there's still 5 Invasion heroes. Surely that couldn't have worked for them. Doom actually has gone down to the offlane, so perhaps that's what they were thinking. Go 5 on 4 while the Doom's TP is on cooldown.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Invasion with nice wards up over the bot rune. I think they're going to use that to get a rotation in on the spot tower. Doom's certainly just trying to mash away as quickly as he can at the creep wave. Sticking with that Centaur Stomp as anticipated. It would have been more useful in lane and doing the ganks he's been doing than the red Satyr. Because what's scary about Drow is how quickly she kills you. You know, a little bit extra health regen over time ain't gonna help. Engagement on the backlines here as Doom hits away at the tower. Both teams rotating men in. I'm beginning to wonder whether Invasion are going to be wise to go through with this. We've got 2 heroes pushing on mid, defended only by a Shadow Demon. Oh, the Puck ult actually goes down on Centaur. But there is a huge number of his teammates there. Puck now doomed. This is a great opportunity for them to kill him. Doom will be looking to get the Centaur stuff off as well. Another fairly good Shadow Shaman wards separating the team. It's not the traditional uses, but it's amazing plays, and that's a dead Doom. And Drow now jumps out on the Centaur as she tries to get back on the back lines, but there's a Razor and a Shadow Demon there. Disruption goes down to protect Centaur. He manages to blink out. We do now have Puck though jumping on the Dire team on the way out. I think he spotted the very low Centaur, but scared off by the Invasion plays. So there is so much to be said about the Shadow Shaman wards in this game. Like, I'm not a huge fan of using them in team fights, much as people who have seen me play Shadow Shaman will say that that is totally untrue. But I know I'm wrong when I use them in team fights. Because they're just so good for doing it in towers. But in certain team fights, obviously, if it changes it and you get a good kill or a 5-man wipe, then it's going to be worth it. Now the wards here obviously blocked in a hero, just made it a secured kill. It was on the Doom. I really like that, and it also totally blunted a potential aggressive push. The wards here obviously didn't block anyone into a specific area, but what they did do was totally separate the Doom from his teammates. There was no longer a path through here that either the Dazzle could have gone through, and so Doom was just left and got absolutely murdered. So huge shout out to who are we looking at here? Noki on the Shadow Shaman. Really loving what he's doing. Meanwhile, Invasion looking like they want to try and get damage on this mid tower, but I gotta say, I'm not hopeful for them. I'm not entirely sure why we are putting so much effort onto that mid tower. It's not even like theirs is about to go down, and so they need something to contest some kind of map control. And also, I gotta say, I do think... Oh god, do they have the... I think they do. I think that with Razor and Doom, plus with Centaur to try and counter the Drow, I think they do have the late game. I think they should be concentrating on farming. That Drow is going to get hella scary, I get that, but they've got a team to counter it, and actually just the raw late game potential should be higher. And they've got Doom to counter. If it ends up being all about Drow from Mith, then they've got Doom. I think the thing that they could do wrong here is overly focus on anything that isn't farming, and get drawn into crazy attempts at puck kills. Meanwhile, Centaur ult goes down for another attempt to kill the Drow. That's always useful. And Doom does get it, although Skyroth Mage was lining up for another deny there, which would have been an amazing play. Myth aren't sure who to chase, and so we're going to end up getting no one. Centaur hiding in the jungle here. I think they're hoping to wrap around on MyPro. MyPro or the... Yep, there they go. They're going on the Skyroth Mage, who does manage to get his ult off. Doesn't quite kill Centaur, but not a bad trade. And suddenly Invasion looking like they might have the controller they need to win this game. I think the Centaur pickup for them was absolutely crucial. It means that they're going to have to go for kind of one of their more solid late game cores in the Doom, who's been roaming and ganking and doing some crazy things rather than a lot of traditional laning. But on the other side, it's a great counter. He got his blink incredibly early to allow them to start dealing with that Drow. Another quick pause coming out from Invasion, I think. But we're ready to go. Call for defense up on top. With 3 heroes down, why would this not be the time to just push the tower? I get Viper's defending it. We've got 3 heroes there, including Shadowgrave, everything else. If you wonder why I'm getting a little bit of lag, by the way, in this game, guys, Malaysian servers, Asia 1 division. It shouldn't be too bad. But of all the servers that there could be, this is the one that's going to have it. Other than possibly... no, probably this one. But yeah, look, it's not bad, is it? For the other side of the world. There's something happening live at the other side of the world. MyPro picking up some nice farm mid. I haven't really looked at items this game, I apologise for that. Viper finished off his mech, other than on Drow. She has gone for the Mask of Madness early. Puck's picked up his Blink, Arcane Boots on Skyroth Mage and the Shadow Shaman, so both supports getting to where they need to be for Myth. They're going to be able to spam their spells to get a little bit more farm. It's always easy once you've got the Arcane Boots and a bit of mana regen to get more farm for yourself as a support, because you can then start nuking down jungle farms that no one else is farming. Looking at the Invasion team, similar question on the boots. Shadow Demon rushing Medallions, hasn't managed to finish off any special boots for himself yet, but Dazzle has boots. We've got a mech up on the Razor, looking to go to a BKB as well. I think, no wait, Razor, that'll be Ags. And now we see the rotation coming out from Myth. There was an early call for defense during the pause from Invasion, and I'm not entirely sure why that was so. Maybe it was just that they'll be coming here later, but there definitely wasn't going to be a push immediately. This is the push that they were anticipating. Wards get dropped on the tower. Not the best placement. You really want to try and put the wards behind the tower. But I guess they're just trying to rush this down before anyone can even get close to thinking about taking it. Meanwhile, though, down on bot lane, Invasion doing a great job of just of taking off the tier 1. So all the towers in this game so far being taken kind of 1 for 1. You get our off lane, we get your off lane. You get our safe lane, we get your safe lane. Mid is the only one that isn't really even, and it looks like Invasion actually doing a decent job of getting it down now. That was the perfect time to leave it. Not quite in deny range. Not so close that one more catapult is going to kill it. They are looking for a big push now, though, which might not be the right time, since we do have Skyroth Mage waiting on the cliffs behind, and Viper just picking up Dazzle. They're going to try for the quick kill. Doom to the quick blink initiation, doesn't find the puck, needs to be retreating now. They do have Centaur with them. He does have a haste rune. They found Shadow Shaman. Where is the Myth team? This is not the time to be farming the enemy jungle, guys, and Skyroth Mage was standing way back from the fight, long after it had started. MyPro going down as well, so that's Shadow Shaman and Viper. They did manage to take out the Dazzle in exchange. But that was a much earlier kill. I'm really not sure what that was from Myth. They seem to be just kind of hanging around, going for some farm, when it should have been highly, highly suspicious, and I think they should have been Should have been grouping up. Puck clearly knew that the enemy team were kind of near him, close to him, chasing him. And I'm going to go back to the numbers. They knew there were 4 of them there. They went in with only 3. Razor gets picked off by Drow, and that's 700 gold to the position 1 for Mith. That kind of makes up for what went before. Let's have a quick look. XP graph. Oh, so close. Oh, basically even at this stage of the game is absolutely nuts. Invasion only just pulling the gold lead ahead. And that's up against the Mask of Madness and Midas on Drow. And they are actually able to nuke down this tower terrifyingly quickly. They do still have a catapult here if they're hoping to... Oh, and it is in deny range, so they do have to come back in and nuke it down, which doesn't prove too much of a problem. We do have a lot of heroes setting up on this mid. The tower is now down. I'm expecting they're probably just going to try and back out of it. But we shall have to see. Lots of dithering. Razor's going to be up again in 2 seconds. Not entirely sure what Mith are hoping to achieve on this. Probably just waiting to see if the Razor TPs to one of the towers, and then they can immediately push the other one, knowing that they'll outnumber in the fight. Again, outnumbering. Easy, important. Meanwhile, Drow, gone back to farm up the jungle. I suppose what Mith are trying to do here, they're not overly dedicated to getting this top tier down, because they know that they might be seeing this kind of rotation coming out from Invasion, but they do just want to keep the Invasion team chasing their 4-pack, basically, rather than going for the Drow, because Drow just needs more items. She's going for the, or I hope she's going anyway, beyond this Yasha, for just hardcore agility, because all of that agility is going to be passed on in part to her teammates. So let's have a quick look. How much are they each getting? 51 damage for every hero on Mith, just thanks to this Drow. Once she's, I would be hoping that later on we'll be seeing a butterfly coming out from her. Wow, huge games. Double damage rune on bot as well. I've got to say, not very good warding coming out from Mith. If there was going to be one thing that they are not doing very well right now, it's the warding. I do appreciate that Invasion are dropping sentry wards like they are, I don't know, something that you drop lots of bricks if you're a really crappy builder. But they're dewarding a lot. I get that. This is the only ward that that Mith have been able to do, but you just can't afford to lose the ward game, especially when your opponents have got this many sentries up. And okay, this is actually kind of something Invasion I feel is doing wrong. With this many sentries up, they should have more observers, because you should have observers anyway, but when you've got that many sentries up to be sure that you're not going to get dewarded, I think get the observers up as well. I mean, perhaps they want more aggressive observers and they're waiting for sentries there or something. That could be what the Shadow Demon gem pickup that we just saw. Hopefully planning on going in, dewarding as they go without having to buy a billion sentry wards and get some aggro wards up. But even here, they've got one nice ward up here, which is going to do a great job at protecting their own jungle. If they had another one here, something like that, then it would make their jungle pretty much totally secure except for smoke ganks, and that's what I would like to see personally. 75 gold is worth. Getting another ward up here though, definitely very nice placement. And with the gem they managed to deward the sentry, which wouldn't have been able to deward them anyway, but is useful to get rid of. Part of me though, no, I suppose I was going to say that part of me would have wanted to not deward it, given that you knew that your ward was safe, and it does just kind of reveal that you have a gem, or it gets the enemies thinking, oh, maybe they have a gem. But the Mith probably would have realised fairly early. Invasion going for a quick Roche here, do get scouted out by the Puck Illusory Orb. They're going to keep going for it, and they are getting him down incredibly quickly. I'm not sure that Mith are going to be here quick enough to stop this, given that the Drow is still all the way over here, just picking up an item. Shadow Shaman wards are dropped though. They feel confident in going in. There's the Puck ult. They managed to get the Centaur out of the pit, and actually they have managed to fourth Invasion out of the Roche pit. Oh, Doom gets a nasty stun there from Roche. Disruption down on Shadow Shaman. Somebody looking to pick off the Doom. He does have Scorched Earth up. The Illusory Orb is coming down. Razor, meanwhile, getting a double kill in the background. Shadow Demon manages to pick off the Shadow Shaman, and now the wards are just being easy food. Drow forced to back off to the back lines, and actually none of the Invasion heroes dying there, I don't think. Yep, no buybacks, and an Aegis now. Invasion are kind of showing now, despite Myth's early game lead, why they have won 5 out of the last 6 of the matches these teams have played together. And now Drow being highly aggressive on mid lane. She must anticipate that there's going to be action here. 4-star from the Centaur. That was his 4-star. He 4-starred out of the pit. I'm not sure whether that was a great choice. to just kind of drop him right next to the enemy team and the enemy Skyroth, and almost killed him. But c'est la vie. It was very useful there. If he'd been, I think, a little bit swifter on the blink full staff. Although with respect, it may have been on cooldown. I'm not sure about that. But if he'd been a little faster there, he would have been able to catch the drow. They now know that the drow is there. They have an obs. Where's the blink? There's going to be a blink. He's been spotted. He needs to go now. Where was the blink, Centaur? You had perfect vision. Oh, I would honestly, I would have four-staffed in, watched for Drow's blink, and then just blinked or something. Like oh, that seemed like a very, very passive bit of Centaur play there. Perhaps the vision wasn't quite as good as I thought it was, but wow, I really thought that they should be getting another kill on the heavy carry there, and that would have just secured the lead that they've got. Viper trying to farm up bot, needs a few more items. Centaur tries for a blink stop, doesn't quite make it, but doesn't lose anything either, so it was definitely worth doing. Drow now picking up the Manta. It's her next item that I'm really interested in. She's got Manta, Mask of Madness, Blink Dagger. Personally, I kind of would have preferred the Butterfly before the Manta, but I'm hoping she goes Butterfly now just to get that raw agility, because that is going to be a benefit for their entire team. Trying to scout out the TPing Shadow Shaman there with Plasma Field. TP manages to get out just in time. Puck throwing out illusory orbs to try and get some harass up, and Drow's going to be looking to just nuke down this tower like she did the previous move tier 1, and it's not going to take long. We've got immediate TPs coming out from four of the heroes on the Dire team. They're not prepared to give up this tower. 4 TPs and a glyph after the Drow had been chased off. Wow, that's not what they wanted to do there. The better Drow gets at these kind of sneaky plays, the more risk she's at. Like right now, effectively surrounded by the enemy team, relying on the fact that she's going to be able to blink across like that. Yeah, I was expecting that. Wow, if they'd been 5 seconds quicker. Yeah, she's going to be able to make edgier and edgier plays, more and more at risk, but also just deadlier and deadlier. And this really could be a game still which will go either way. That's why, despite tower lead, despite what I expect is a fairly now substantial gold and XP lead for Invasion, this could still go either way. I'm wondering if Centaur is going to be picking up Blade Mail at any point, because that makes a lot of difference on a hero like Drow. Glass Cannons hate Blade Mail. Slightly offset by Lifesteal, and of course Drow has built a fair amount of Lifesteal, but yeah, it's Return plus Blade Mail is very, very nasty for a hero like Drow. She's not aware of it and being very, very careful of it. Mith nomming up their ancient stack. Invasion trying to smoke gank through the jungle. Unfortunately, most of the Mith team are up pushing the top lane. We've got wards dropped on the top tier 1. They are going to get a decent amount of damage down. Centaur can't really contest that easily. They're now going on him. He does pop his ult to try and help his team get up there and help. They've just made it. Are they going to be able to get some revenge kills off? We get a blink. Shivas from Doom manages to catch out the Drow. Doom is dropped on her. She'll be going down, and there's no hope of a deny with Doom this close. Meanwhile, the Viper gets slowed by Dazzle, goes in with Nether Strike. He's now taking on 4 of the enemy team, though. He just wants to get pickoffs. He's anticipating losing. The Central Stomp goes down, and Viper finished off. So that's the 2 biggest cores on the Mith team picked off there from by Invasion. They do lose the top tier 2. Not great, but you know, it's tricky. Mith have great push, and they've got that kind of burst push. You know, they'll just appear in lane, and it'll be Shadow Shaman, it'll be Drow, and if you're not there within 5 seconds, then the tower's gone. You kind of just got to accept that. What they're doing in exchange, there's much better farming, much better team fight. This is the way they're going to be winning. And these pickoffs from the Drow are invaluable, because she honestly is the only hope they've got. Doom attempting to get a decent initiation on the Skyrath, struggling to deal with the slows, but now Scorched Earth is up. He'll have his Blink Dagger, there it is. Gets level death down and a quick kill. He's switched now to the Alpha Wolf. He realizes the right click damage that he can do. And I suppose they're now thinking they've got sufficient disable with the Blink and the full staff on the Centaur. And Doom now able to just blink Doom on the key targets as well. Noki just trying to keep the lanes pushed really. He knows he's going to have to head back to bottom soon. There's no way he's going to be able to do any kind of counter push or take the mid tier 2 here while Dire are looking at bot. Razor has gone out to contest, and he does have his Drow here now. Central ult is popped, give that max movement speed to help get away. Razor looks like he's interested in going in, but and the team want to follow him, but no, they decide to stay focused on the bot tier 2. It's beginning to seem more and more difficult that this Drow is going to be able to make the difference in these team fights. If she keeps getting picked off like this, as I said, it's just over. We're now seeing the tower for tower exchange again. But actually, Mith also, I meant with the you know, the safe lane for each, safe lane tier 2 for each team going down, but Mith actually managing to take the mid tier 2 as well. Is it going to cost them though, as the invasion team just rock straight up onto high ground here, doing huge damage to the tier 3 with Razor ult. It was Ags, not BKB. Anticipated. A Centaur blink doesn't catch anyone, but does manage to chase the Mith team back a little bit. Skywrath Harass coming down. The Puck ult comes down, breaks the TP on the Razor. Oh no, he hasn't TP'd yet. So probably hoping to catch somebody else really. Interrupt the TP. Meanwhile, the tier 3 on the mid has actually gone down as well. That'll be, and the Rags. That is huge. Drow, you sneaky little. I honestly thought that they'd be chased off from the tier 2 there. I was focused on the action going down bot, but actually Mith did a much better job there. Both teams took the tier 3, but Mith took a Rax. Mith took a Rax. They got to be regretting that they didn't manage to get the melee Rax down, because they clearly had enough damage to do it. But it would have been a bit of a risky play, just given that obviously the invasion team could have TP'd back at any time. What I find quite strange though is that the glyph wasn't popped for invasion. Like, I think they were maybe as surprised about that as I was. They thought they were having a great fight. Oh yeah, we're going to get this tier 3 down, and then suddenly, oh yeah, we lost Rax. That sucks. Yeah, I can't figure that one out. That's really, really odd. Why on earth would they not use their glyph and save the Rax? Then they could have done some damage, TP back. They're going on the Shadow Shaman now, and I'm pretty sure we all know what's going to happen here. Yeah, that's what's going to happen right here. Meanwhile though, Drow is back up on the top lane with a lane in a position to push. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm keeping my eyes very strongly peeled on there. Invasion are attempting to just do damage to this mid tower. They want to get it down, and then I hope TP back and deal with that Drow. Insta TPs, guys. Insta TPs. Enough of you, at least. Drow and Skyroth doing a huge job on this Doom. Drow now blinking out. We've got the Shadow Demon coming up as well. It's an illusion that gets glimpsed. Meanwhile, down on the bot lane, Razor just managing to TP out. Doom as well, Dazzle as well. Pretty looking for kills. The Centaur Warrun is the only one available, and unfortunately guessed wrong. He took the other fork. He went away. So that was a free tower effectively for invasion. Nice rotation by them. No damage done to the top tier 3. MyPro now looking to hunt down lane. He's got his Necros up. And being pinged out by the invasion squad. And he doesn't have a huge amount of support that can come in here and help. I've been seeing Necro 3 and actually playing myself Necro 3 on Viper increasingly recently. And it's actually a really useful item. Kind of following on from the mech build, you become a bit of a kind of aura based Viper. But you also you obviously get minions to give the aura to yourself. Also strength, it's not what he needs, but if you pick up a kind of high agility item, or you have a Drow on your team giving you damage, you can do great work with it. It's extra tank with him. Mana is always a little bit of an issue on the Viper. Plus, he himself becomes more effective, and I must have said this 500 times this game alone. He becomes more effective the lower the enemy team is. So when you've got a okay, action going on top, Doom attempting to initiate, gets silenced though. He is going to have Doom off very, very shortly. There it is. Is he going to use it? He's disrupted. Shadow Demon finishes off Drow. Doom still alive. Doesn't even need to pop the ult. And another 2 pickoffs. It's getting harder and harder for this Drow to menace these racks. They did a great job taking that mid tier 1, but it was based on catching invasion out. And so long as invasion keep doing these kind of responses, it might be a little bit harder for them to push. It might take a little bit longer, but they'd be fools to give up racks that easily again. Centaur farming out the Radiant jungle. Now looking to get a blink onto this Viper. Going to be scouted out constantly by these Necro units. That's the other good thing about them. Lincoln's down on Viper is going to make it kind of difficult to kill him, but of course the Centaur Stomp goes through. Is it going to be enough? It is. Razor's got the right clicks. The Puck ult went down as well, and that is going to make it really hard for Mith to stop the tier 3. Very quickly finishing my thought on Viper Necros. with the damage the melee one does, it's so easy to get someone a little bit low and then do kills. Meanwhile, Razor getting damage on this Rax. Meanwhile, Center does a beautiful blink and Solo just finishes off that Skywrath Mage. Puck desperately trying to contribute somewhere, and it's a full set of Rax for invasion, and they're not leaving the base. They're going to rotate mid. They're doing it a little bit early. They've only got one creep in base here. You normally do this very swift rotation based on the fact that you had creeps secured in the base. This is kind of what I'm worried about for them. The next creep wave is just instantly nuked down, and now they actually are fighting against backdoor protection. That one catapult finally falling. Doom pops Shivas but gets shackled right on the high ground. The Centaur ult is popped, and that's going to give them enough face rush to get up there, save the Doom, and get another 2 kills. Drown now down for 70 seconds, and honestly, I think this is GG now. I really cannot see Mith coming back from this. They get a nice Skywrath ult down, does decent damage, but all of the heroes now are just so tanky. A nice blink stomp from Centaur, trying to make some space for his team to get away, and they get another rack. They're leaving Razor in the background for all of this, just so that he can right-click the towers. And now, quick retreat, TP out from those who need it, and huge profit there for invasion. Mith kind of just reeling, desperately trying to deal with the mega creeps that are now stomping into their base, but they have not called GG. So obviously they still feel that their combo is one of those ones where they just need one big team fight where everything goes their way, and they'll be able to, actually make this work. And it is something that I've always been able to see in these pro games. I've only recently been able to get a handle on it myself. You know, even when a game is going badly, even when a game you're 2 racks down and okay they've got 1 range track down, yay. But even when you're in a situation like that, certain wombo combo teams can still win. And most teams that pro teams pick will have some way to win if everything goes right. So that's why you see these very late GG calls, because they know that if they get a 5-man puck ult, drops Skywrath ults right down. If Shadow Shaman picks up a Veil, you get out onto all of that. They get wards down on the rest of it. Everyone is silenced, so you know all the invasion team is silenced. And then Drow gets in the perfect position to just right-click everyone in order. They will still win. Blink Stomp from Centaur on the Drow doesn't manage to, on the Shadow Shaman, sorry, doesn't manage to catch, as he has a blink of his own and a very clutch plays there as he blinks out of range. They still kind of want him though. There's 4-star from Centaur to get him into range of the Shadow Shaman. He's forced to use another blink. That of course putting him in a little bit of risk, because Centaur could have blinked straight after him, but Centaur went the wrong way, and looks like they're not going to be catching anyone. But yeah, Mith feeling that they're still in this, and they're not wrong. It's getting harder and harder for them to pull off the combo, but they're no longer at the stage where the combo can't work. Wards drops on tower, obviously anticipating that they can go through backdoor protection. Not entirely sure. Noki, I'm not a fan of this, mate. I gotta say, I'm not entirely sure whether they're just trying to keep invasion busy. Obviously, this is a fair way to get a decent bit of damage down on this Shadow Shaman. But the wave is just nowhere close. Meanwhile, top tier 2 has gone down, and they could really have used those wards to try and defend this top tier 1. Lots of damage coming out on the first attempt at high ground. And in fact, we've got Shadow Demon almost finished off, but Doom just holding the entire Mith team back. Does get finished off though, for his troubles. That's 80 seconds without Doom, and Invasion definitely choosing to back off out of this. They do have a Puck chasing them though. Ethereal Blade goes down on Dazzle, and that's a nice pickup from the Puck. Dazzle's going to be finished off very quickly by the Drow right clicks, and this is kind of the fight we were talking about. They were able to finish off the Doom, they were able to finish off the Dazzle. Puck's now making space and creating just hassle, allowing the Drow to get the right clicks in. Unfortunately though, Puck finished off as well, and that leaves him in a much more tenuous position. Centaur desperately trying to get the damage down on Drow, and does. Helped out a little bit by the Razor there, and I think that must be GG. Now I'm not saying those Shadow Shaman wards, if they'd been dropped, could have helped this, but I don't see what they could possibly have done up on top. And a gem on Skywrath Mage is dropped as well. Drow with a buyback, or should I say dieback, gets a push off on Centaur. He's going to fall as well, but dieback from Drow, 92 seconds. It's going to be hell trying to defend the top racks now for Mith. They're going to try though. I'm wondering at what point GG gets called. It's a bit of mystery right now, I gotta say. Is a little bit of mystery. And there it is. GG. It was finally enough. They talked it out. They decided. wasn't going to happen. And I really got to say GG to both teams. I really think that could have gone either way up until a couple of key team fights, not 15 minutes ago. And the other great thing as well is, of course, Myth were ahead at the beginning. This is Invasion. That is a comeback story there. It was only the early game where Invasion really had any significant lead. But nice comeback from Invasion. If you're watching on Twitch, please do hit follow, as it really helps me do what I'm doing. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe for more of the same. And I'm not going to do any more of an outro than that, because we've got to get right in for Game 2. There's a 2-game series, so there won't be a Game 3. But let's see whether Myth can end this in a draw. I'm going to pop the music on in the meantime.